perfect. Again, my name is Nancy. I'm based out of New York. Just a background story about me. I am 33. I work for New York City government, the Parks Department. We're better than the show. I'm a landlord, NACA. Because of NACA, I became a landlord, a homeowner, and a businesswoman all in one. Okay, so I want to share with you guys my experience and in hopes that you guys will go ahead and pull the trigger and really start to build wealth through real estate. Okay, so just let me know in the chat how many people here on this call are familiar with the program NACA. You can just put like a thumbs up in the chat just to let me know.
See, Jamal said he is.
Yeah. Okay. So how many of here, so let's start. Let me give you another question. How many of y'all here are familiar with FHA? You can let me know me in the chat. Okay. So clearly a lot of you guys know FHA, you guys know conventional loan, you guys know of all of these that are just populated all over the place, right? But what if I told you that there's a program that's 10 times better than FHA that requires, just because it's better, it's going to require a little bit more from you. But what if I told you that you can buy a house with no money down, no closing cost, no attorney fees, no appraisal fees, no private mortgage insurance, otherwise known as PMI, okay, below market value rates, okay, and the opportunity to buy down your interest rate without any PMI, right? This is what NACA is all about, right? So some people are just assume NACA is, how can this be? How can this program give me a house and I don't need any of this stuff, right? Just because this isn't a requirement to put down, that doesn't mean that you don't have to have funds saved, right? So with NACA, I live in New York. I bought my first multifamily. I bought a duplex in Bronx, New York. And this duplex, for any of you guys that are familiar in real estate, I don't know if I have realtors on this call, but New York City is an equity-based market, okay? So you're really lucky if you get to cash flow in New York City, and actually, you know, you can sit on equity. I had the opportunity 2 years ago, I hit a home run and I bought my duplex. I walked in with 35K worth of equity and I cash flow about $1,900 per month for this property. So because of this one NACA property, I now live rent-free for the last 2 years. And I am here to share with you guys all of the secrets on how you can do the same thing with this program, because honestly, truly, life does change when you're living rent-free. The three most highest costs in our life are taxes, housing, and healthcare, right? So if you remove taxes, you're gonna learn that on another episode with someone else. But if you remove the housing, right, that is one less expense that you got to worry about. Okay, so for me, I started NACA back in I want to say in June, right? So I got approved in July. Life was lifing, you know. In August, I reached out to my NACA approved realtor, and I went into contract in September. I looked at 4 houses, went into contract in September, and I closed in December. Okay, closed in December 2022, 3 days before Christmas. So Merry Christmas to me, right into my pockets. Because buying a house is the most expensive purchase that you will ever make. And so with that being said, you want to be smart about what program you use. You want to be smart about your finances. And also, what I'm going to tell y'all is NACA is available in all 50 states, okay? I noticed a lot of you guys know FHA, and then there's a few of y'all that are familiar with NACA, right? Cool. So one of the success rates about NACA is however fast or slow you go in the program is on you, right? So one of the things that NACA asked for all of their clients to do is upon enrolling, you're going to sign up for a webinar on a Saturday, right? So you'll get this Zoom link. It's about 3 hours. You have to go through this webinar in order to understand how NACA works. It's pretty straightforward. It gives you an opportunity to sit and talk to whoever is presenting that that webinar. At the end of the webinar, you'll receive what's called a NACA ID number. So think of this as like your social security number for NACA, right? For your house. So you're gonna get your NACA ID number. Once you get your NACA ID number, now you can start, right? So I know a lot of you guys heard me say, oh, it's no down payment, no closing costs, no this, right? You still have to have reserves in the bank to show your mortgage counselor, because no bank is going to give you a house with no money, with no, for free, right? So what NACA tells people is you need at least a minimum of $2,500 to get started, right? I advise people to save more than that to get started before getting started, and I'm going to explain why. So one of the things that NACA does upon you wanting to take part in this program, you have to show a savings pattern to them so that they can approve you for the loan, right? To buy this house, okay? They're never going to sit there and give you anything without, and when I tell you, if you guys think Uncle Sam, how many of y'all are favor Uncle Sam right now? I know I don't. But when NACA, they track everything. And when I say they track everything, is you better be lucky they don't ask you for a blood sample, okay? Because NACA wants you to show them that you are serious about wanting to purchase a house, right? NACA prides himself in you placing you in a home that you can afford, meaning you're going to pay less or break even with the amount of rent that you are paying now. If you're currently a renter, you should be paying that in your mortgage or less, right? So in this process, NACA is going to give you what's called a payment shock, right? So a payment shock is their version of a savings plan. Month to month, for my process, NACA had me put away $400, right? So the amount that they give you is based off of how much income you bring in monthly, okay? So for transparency reasons, my payment shock month to month was $400. So when I first started my my process, I'm financially astute, so they had me show them, because I have no debt in real life. Before I bought my house, I had to show them that I can live, I can work, I can pay my rent, I can, go out to eat, and I'm still responsible, right? Here's the thing that people don't tell you about this payment shock. This payment shock, right, is supposed to be automated from your checkings to your savings. So when you start NACA, I'm going to tell y'all first things first. When y'all start NACA, just know that when you join NACA, you are only, I'm going to say this again, you are only going to work with NACA approved realtors, NACA approved lawyers, NACA approved appraisers. The reason I say this is because however fast or slow you go is on you. Let's say, for example, you have a friend or your wife is a realtor, right? And you want to use them to, you want to help them out, you want to support them, and you want to use them to close on this NACA property. Guess what? Now you done delayed your whole process, because that realtor that you want to use has to be approved by NACA to be able to assist you in closing this house, right? So now they have to go through the whole process, and you just don't want to do that. So what I always tell my mentees is work with people who are NACA approved. So NACA has in-house agents, what they call in-house agents. So these are agents that you can find them in all 50 states that work specifically for NACA. So like when you call, your NACA office in your state. They're like, you meet with them to look at houses, or you can find what's called a brother sister company. So in New York, for example, I don't know if anyone here is from New York. I found a brokerage firm that works in partnership with NACA, Diamond Mine Real Estate, for anyone who's in New York. So all of their realtors are NACA approved. That firm is just, as soon as I sent it in, they were like, we know exactly who you're working with, right? So it's always easier, the power of networking. If you're serious about building wealth through real estate, you'd be surprised how far a certain individual will get you. Okay, so it's really, really important who you work with, especially starting with your realtor. They need to be NACA approved, okay? And you can ask them a simple question. They'll tell you yes or no. And also your mortgage counselor can confirm. Second, right? NACA will give you a list. This is why I love NACA, because they want y'all to win, right? By any means necessary. They give you everything on a golden platter, for real. So, right? So you find your realtor. NACA is going to give you a list of attorneys, right, for your state, attorneys to call so that you can find one to represent you at closing and throughout this whole process, right? NACA will provide the appraisers, right? They are responsible. They won't even give you that list, but NACA will provide you with a list of attorneys and a list of contractors, okay? The reason being is, not contractors, home inspectors. The reason being is, again, NACA has really rigorous requirements in order to close on a property, meaning they look at 10 times worse than FHA when it comes to safety, right? Things have to get fixed. For example, just to shine some light for my property was a turnkey, right? So I bought it in 2022. It was worked on throughout COVID. The city seized it. There was a whole bunch of stuff, right? But because of this, the property had, I saw proof of mold. It had some stuff, electric stuff. It had to get all fixed, right? NACA is not going to let you close on a house if it is not up to par to what they require, meaning lights, gas, electric, violations, the whole nine, right? Any other FHA conventional, they could never, right? They don't care. They just want you to close in the house so everybody can get paid, right? NACA cares. They're going to get paid, but they want to make sure that you can afford and that you're not going to foreclose on this home. So the way that they keep tabs on us, right? So after closing, now you are, as a member of NACA and as a give back, every year you have to do 5 events, right? To advocate for NACA, right? So as y'all can see, I'm really passionate about NACA. This has been something that has changed my life drastically in a way that I only ever dreamt of. This is a full circle moment for me. I was born and raised here. So for NACA to come and give me the opportunity for me to share my story, that counts. My story, my experience, going through the NACA process, guess what? That counts as one event that you have completed for the year, one of the 5, right? You post on Instagram promoting NACA, guess what? 2, that's 2 out of 5, right? You call your mortgage counselor to do live testimonials, like to share your experience with NACA on a Saturday morning. Guess what? That counts as a testimonial. Not sure if you guys are familiar with NACA is available in all 50 states. They have what's called an Achieve the Dream program, where they have mass conferences in each state during certain time periods of the year, where thousands of people are going to come and hope to get pre-qualified on the spot. What are some of the things that you need to be pre-qualified? You need what's called a lender's file, right? In your lender's file, every month, in addition to your $400 payment shock that you're going to do, your savings pattern for NACA, every month you're going to submit your bank statements faithfully, okay? You're going to submit your bank statements. You're going to submit every credit card statement that you've received. And you want to make sure that you're paying down debt too. Okay. Every time you get paid, you're uploading that into your lender file. Organization is key. If you are OCD organized, and I mean like organized, if you sit and you do things the way I'm explaining it, you're going to be successful, right? But if you join, what I tell people is, if you join NACA and you see that you need a little bit of financial guidance and push, I'm here to tell you that this is the right place to do it. Reason being is, let's say you guys, how many of you here are interested in buying a house and just have like a savings problem? Just wish that you can save a little bit more. Put a thumbs up in the chat for me. And then I can let you know what NACA does. Okay. So for those of you that would need a little push in the directions of savings, what I like about NACA is they will give you what's called an action plan, right? So let's say, for example, you submit your lender's file, your documents, and you have about $10,000 in savings, but you have $20K in credit card debt, right? You're not in a financial position right now to purchase a house because your liabilities are outstanding in comparison to your assets, right? So what NACA's going to do is NACA's going to tell you, hey, it's all right. This happens. We're going to put you on an action plan for 3 months. Your job is to bring down this amount of debt between this amount while still putting in your payment shock. Okay. So as long as you stick to that action plan and clear it, you'll be clear to, you'll be pre-qualified so that you'll finally be able to go shopping for your house. If you don't stick to your action plan, if you don't stick to your payment shock, that's going to delay your process. And that's what a lot of people don't openly share as to why. I don't know if a lot of you have heard or any of you have heard how long NACA process is. I just shared with you guys how short my NACA process was because I was organized from the beginning until the very end. And the same way that I am sharing these gems with you guys, this was shared with me and how I was able to get started with NACA. Someone asked, who qualifies for NACA? Everyone qualifies for NACA. There's no salary income limits or requirements. I'm a 6-figure earner and I took advantage of NACA in New York City. NACA also, for anyone on here who's probably on a Section 8 program or a voucher, a government program, what I love about NACA is they pride themselves so much in helping brown and colored people like us get into places, right? Without us having to compromise, without us having to be house rich and cash poor, because they are going to make sure that the house that you want, you can afford it. And if you cannot afford it, then you're going to have to reevaluate your financial situation, right? So someone asked about credit score. What I love about NACA is they don't take credit score into consideration. They take debt to income. They take your debt to income ratio, which, like I said, it was what your assets and your liabilities are. If your liabilities are more than what you have in assets, you're getting put on an action plan. So this action plan, to me, it's great because it's going to keep you on the straight and narrow. And I'm going to tell you guys very honestly, okay? If you veer off this action plan, you're going to want to quit the program, okay? The reason why I say it is that you're meeting with your mortgage counselor. You ain't doing what you're supposed to do. Now we adding every time you don't do what you're supposed to do, you adding 3 months because your mortgage counselor can't meet with you all the time. They only going to meet with you if you actually meet with you consistently, like there's called priority members and non-priority members, right? So priority members are the members that have everything all already done, ready to go. Like they are taking motion, they're in action, right? Non-priority members, Our members who are still trying to get qualified, members that are on action plans, members that, you know, they still have stuff to work on. But yeah, so for example, if Sherwin and I are going for a property, I'm a priority member because I don't got my lender file all up to date. I'm, you know, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do month to month. But then Sherwin has a hiccup 1 month. Guess what? Because of that one hiccup, Sherwin now has to wait 3 months to prove that he can be financially astute and be able to afford for this house, right? So for credit score, unlike any other program, they take into account debt to income ratio. However, I do always tell everyone, the higher your credit score, the better. Even though NACA has below market value rates, your credit score can also, you know, determine what your initial interest rate would be if it was good, right? Or how much you would be able to pay down if it was good, right? So does it have to be your primary residence? If so, how long? Yes. So I'm a homeowner, I'm a landlord, I'm a businesswoman, all in one, right? So my duplex, you have to live in it for 5 years. So what that means is owner occupied. So if you guys think, and it's very important, NACA is an owner occupied property, okay? Be very, very careful walking around saying, I have a NACA investment property. You're going to get yourself jammed up because that is considered mortgage fraud, okay? Because you have defrauded the bank. In order for you to buy an investment property, you have to put down 25%. NACA, it's optional to put down money, okay? It's optional. At the end of closing, let's go back to my story. At the end of the closing, at the right when you're about to close, right? You're at the finish line. Your mortgage counselor is going to call you. Hey, Jane, we're cleared to close for tomorrow. So I'm calling you to ask you, you know, even though we are a no down payment, no closing costs, no fees, we saw, you know, you have the money because even though it's no money down, you're still escrowing money to prove to the seller that you're serious, right? You still have money in escrow. So your mortgage counselor is going to say, hey, from this money in escrow, what do you want to do? Do you want to buy down your interest rate? Or do you want to just leave everything as is? Isn't that cool? Right? The option, do you want to put down your hard-earned money? Or do you want to just walk away from it? Well, it's cool. I've never been in a situation like that. That was crazy, right? So how did I make my decision? I am big on my financials, right? So the question I asked was, what is it going to be? What financially, how much money would I be saving if I bought down my interest rate, right? So at the time, interest rates were like 6%, and I bought down my interest rate to 4.375%. And then the difference from the money that I escrowed was given back to me at closing in the form of a check. Doesn't that sound awesome, y'all?
Hey,
I mean,
hey,
y'all.
yeah. Hey, Ness, I want to step in here because I think that's a very pivotal moment for you right there to actually buy down your interest rate, especially in a owner occupied would actually having tenants per se. Because I think what you're saying too, with New York being an equity based city when it comes to owning real estate, now you lower your interest rate. That means that now your mortgage payment is less. But then now, you know, typically, you know, your rents increase every year while your mortgage payment generally stays the same of where you originally bought it if you didn't really have escrow to necessarily go up. So that was pretty big for you to utilize. And I think that's a great gem for you to utilize to get more cash flow. As you mentioned earlier in the session as well, how you just kind of walked into it with 35,000 equity and $1,900 a month in cash flow was like just a huge win in itself. But I just want to make sure the community caught that moment there of paying down the interest rate to even give you more cash flow in your particular situation.
Yeah, and so I share that because, you know, you guys, one of the things that got me running to sign up for this was, whoa, no down payment, no this, no that. I did have money saved, but what caught my interest was the, whoa, no down payment, let me haul ass and go see what's going on, right? So when I went to my first, NACA webinar, and I'm gonna be very honest with you guys, I took the webinar 3 times. 3 times, because I wanted to make sure that I really understood that I'm really gonna work with a program that's gonna place me in the house that I want, any house that I want, so long as I can afford it. So they're gonna run all the numbers for me so that I can feel confident in my decision and know that when I get into this house, I'm not gonna foreclose on it. Because financially, we already dotted our I's and crossed our T's to make sure that it is affordable, And so one of the things that I love about NACA is when they give you that call the day before your closing, right? That call is gonna make you feel like, oh my God, like what are you gonna do? So I decided to buy down my interest rate. And then at closing, they gave me the difference. And I ended up with a check, the difference between like what I had escrowed and how much I needed to buy down. And they gave me a check of like 1,500. It's the coolest thing. FHA could never. Sony Mae could never. Conventional loans could never, right? So NACA is extremely rigorous. It's lucrative and it is life-changing, right? So you don't need to have a high credit score, although I do encourage you to have a good credit score, right? You don't need to have thousands of dollars saved. However, you do need a minimum of 2,500 to get started. I always encourage people to get started at minimum 10 because inflation, and you just want a good starting point, Once you get a house, you're gonna need money for repairs and expenses. And this is also another thing that NACA requires that you show them. So they have their own, how can I say, repairs department. It's called the hand department. And these are the people right before you close that are coming to your property. They are coming to make sure that all of the violations are cleared, all of the things on the home inspection report are cleared, so that we can close. And if those things are not cleared up to NACA standard, you're not closing. I love that because that makes me feel so valued by this program that any other program views you as a dollar sign. I'm not viewed as a dollar sign. I'm viewed as a valued member of society, like of my community. And what I do is now I go back. I'm in New York. If you live in a high cost living state, and this is your golden ticket to be able to build wealth in a high cost living state. Even if you don't, this is just like, even if you don't, it's even better. But it's really, really, when they say you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Yeah. NACA turned my dreams into keys. Okay. And that's how I was able to start my own business, because of this, teaching people, educating them on their real estate home buying process, right? So while I shared with you guys that this payment shock, right? I'm gonna give you guys some real life examples. Because if somebody would have told me this when I was on my journey, I probably would have been prepared a little better. Okay. During my payment shock was 400, right? The year in 2022, while I was in my NACA process, my cat almost died. She was a kitten. It cost me $10,000 to save her life. Okay. Before y'all come for me about, oh my God, $10,000 for a cat. Yes, I took it there. But guess what? I reached out to my mortgage counselor. That same month, I uploaded my documents, and I knew I was freaking out because I was like, oh my God, I completely just blew out my budget, 10K, and I'm only supposed to be saving 400. I couldn't save that month, right? So my NACA mortgage counselor, she called me up like, you need to submit documentation of what this $10,000 that was used for. And I was like, are you serious? I was taken aback. Like, is that even legal? Yeah. So best believe I scanned all of the veterinary bills, all of the medicine, all of the food stuff that it took for me to have to save her life. I had to submit that to NACA so that they can give me, so that I can show them that I wasn't out spending the money frivolously. Right? Because if you do that, you would have just jacked yourself up. So this is how serious, this is how serious NACA is while you're in this journey with them. If a life event happens, your best bet is reaching out to your mortgage counselor, letting them know, hey, this and this happens, but just be ready to show proof, because NACA asks you for everything but a blood sample. But if I had, if I had to go through this process all over again, I will. And you can, because you can use NACA twice. Okay.
So you can have 2 loans with NACA is what you're saying?
Not at the same time.
Okay.
Not at the same time. So you can have a NACA home, right? Your first one. And then or you can be a homeowner. You can currently be a homeowner of another property and still be able to go through NACA again. And you just have to wait 3 years. Yeah. So the waiting period is just 3 years. Oh, let me go to the chat room.
Yeah, it was just I can give that to you. They want to know if you could buy land with it and as your primary home as well.
No. So no, NACA is primary residence. They don't do, if you're trying to do a fix and flip, that's not happening under NACA. NACA requires that the house is habitable, and also requires that, basically like FHA safety conditions. That's how NACA is pretty much, with their proceedings. But you cannot use NACA to buy land or to build a home. However, you can use USDA for that to buy and build on, if you want to go that route. Someone asks, how are the mortgage rates in comparisons to the normal market? Okay, so here. So I'm gonna drop the NACA link so you guys can see. I don't know if you want to share screen here.
Yeah, you can I have it to where if you wanted to, you could share screen as well.
Okay, perfect. So hey, look at that. We were just speaking about NACA's Achieve the Dream event, right? So all my people who here lives in Alabama, South Carolina, or Georgia, if you live in any of these states, right? NACA's coming to your state, right? And they're having an Achieve the Dream event, just like I said, right? Complete the NACA process in 1 day to get pre-qualified, right? So we're gonna go, if you live in any of these states, you're gonna go register now, right? So let me drop this in the chat. Right? So you'll register, right? So you'll register wherever you're at. You'll fill in all this information, you'll hit continue, they'll send you a link, right? Or this is where you're gonna go to for the in-person event, right? So it's all day, which includes pre-purchasing counseling and assistance for homeowners. So on this day, right, everything that you upload on your NACA lender file, you'll just print that all out and take it with you in person. And you take it with you in person, like here, I have my pay stubs, I have my bank statements, I got my current, how much I'm paying for rent, the whole nine. You bring all your financials and you can get approved on the spot. Again, so long as you are organized. And so long as your lender file is up and complete, right? So let's go to a home buyers purchase program, right? So they're big on helping you achieve the dream, right? So someone asked a question about like interest rates, right? So NACA they pride themselves in being below market value. So if someone can tell me what the interest rates are, I think they're in like the high 6 or 7. So 5.875 is significantly better. Now, just picture being able to buy down this 5.875 to 4.375, right? Like Sherwin said earlier, that's almost 1K worth of cash flow that you're giving yourself. This is why I love NACA, because they help me understand the math that is needed in order to win in real estate, right? So yes, when you buy a house, when you're shopping for a home, yes, you want to keep in mind the interest rates, right? The interest what I mean is keep in mind in terms of like how much you're going to buy down, right? No matter what goes up must come down. So doing NACA, whatever's going on with the interest rates outside, it doesn't matter, because I'm not paying what everyone else is paying. I'm paying what NACA is gonna, grant me the opportunity to pay. Does that make sense? Because I hear a lot of people always get caught up with the interest rates are too high, the interest rates this, the interest rates for that. The interest rates are gonna always go up and go down. I have a colleague who bought her house 11 years ago at 3 point something percent, and I just bought my house 2 years ago at 4.3. So that's just a little like window, a history window of how real estate fluctuates. But that's crazy. 11 years ago, you bought your house for 3%, and we're in 2024, and this is what we're working in, right? So NACA mortgage, no payment, no down payment, closing costs, hidden fees, or mortgage insurance, right? So yeah, so you're gonna attend the live webinar. Then you're gonna create your portfolio. You're gonna be assigned a mortgage counselor. And then yeah, so once you find your property of interest, right? And you know that you want to go into contract with it, right? So for me, I did everything in less than 24 hours. I only took 2 steps into my house that I knew I was gonna buy. I walked in, I was like, yep, this is it. I don't want to see anything else. And I escrowed the money. I wired the money to escrow. That's saying like 2 hours later, and went under contract the very next day. Yeah, so when you put the money, this is the hard earnest money. So like when you do this with FHA, right? When you wire your escrow money, that money's not coming back to you, y'all. I want y'all to know that very clearly. That money is not coming back to you. Okay? That money is being used towards your down payment if you were to go through FHA. Now, you do this for NACA, that down payment, that escrow money is just there so that the seller can see that you have the finances to actually, that you are serious about wanting to purchase this property, right? But at the end, right before you close, NACA's gonna call you, ring, ring. Hey, what do you want to do with this 50,000 that you wired? You don't have to put anything down. We can just close, and you'll get the 50K at closing. Or if you want to save, if you want to increase your cash flow, and we bring it down to XYZ, you'll only have to pay this, and then at closing you'll receive this. Doesn't that sound much better? So when I closed and I told people that I received a check, it was the craziest thing. The craziest thing. Because a lot of my friends have gone through FHA. I even have a colleague who paid 25% for an investment property in Florida. I could never. But at the end of the day, NACA makes it possible for you to build wealth while still being a primary residence holder. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
As opposed to just buying a single family house, right? You could do that for yourself. I'm not knocking it. But at the end of the day, NACA, right? You want to buy a single family house and build wealth? Cool. Do it the smart way. Let NACA run the numbers for you. At least you know that you're floating and not underwater. So that's the number one thing that really is really why I push so heavily for NACA, because people like us, I'm very big on colored folks learning the financial gems, right? Because we're excluded from all of this. So to know that I'm working with people of color like myself that are helping me attain generational wealth through real estate, yes, I'm gonna link up with you guys every single time. And like I said, every year while you maintain the NACA loan, after 5 years, your lien disappears. So for every year, NACA puts $5,000 on your house. So 25,000 for the duration of your loan. You can refinance out of the loan at any time before the 5 years. Just keep in mind that you will have to pay the closing cost, which defeats the point of going through NACA because you're not paying any closing costs, right? So I've been in this for 2 years. 2 years flew by. Now we got 3 more years left to go. And before you know it, the NACA loan is going to be done. I'm going to refinance and I'm going to get more cash flow and more equity, right? In less than 1 year, I walked in with, when I closed, I had 35K. And before last year, I ended up with 100K worth of equity. That is crazy. All of this happened because of NACA. because I took advantage of the opportunity that NACA sits there and affords us.
Hey,
Equally.
Nancy, I want to piggyback on that. I want to make sure that the community didn't necessarily miss on that, right? So as you talk about this program here, right? No down payment, no closing costs, but when we talk about equity, we talk about ownership in itself, right? And so by you being in the program 2 years, 100,000 in equity, right? And so that equity is going to continue to keep growing because we know with New York City, it's one of the most expensive cities to stay in. And so by you being young, can you imagine? At age 33 now and 27 years from now or earlier, this property is being paid off, not necessarily by you, but right, by your tenants, and then your equity continue to keep rising. That's one of the biggest advantages why it's important for you to speak on NACA and how successful this particular program is because not only just the no down payment, but the city that you're in, and then how you're able to leverage this here and build wealth for you and your family. So I want to make sure Let's Win Financial Community didn't miss it because that's a big gem in itself right there.
Yeah, and because of this, because of NACA, now I'm able to sit here and scale my portfolio because I bought right. So I don't know if you guys know the saying, when you buy real estate, you make your money when you buy. Clearly, I made my money when I bought. So my house appraised and I got the 35K, which was crazy. But at the end of the day, again, if I would have gone through FHA, okay, yeah, FHA may be a quicker process, but at the end of the day, FHA doesn't really care if I can afford a house or not. FHA doesn't really care about anything about me. They just want us to throw the money in and let us figure it out. You want to buy a house from us? Cool. We'll pre-qualify you and you can go ahead and get jammed up. NACA, no, they're going to sit with you and they're going to tell you, hey, Miss Betty, I'm going to be real realistic with you. What you bring in is this. The house that you want is that. It does not work. Okay. So it is a really good humbling experience, right? Get your feet wet. Remember, your first house is not your forever house. This is the stepping stone to your next property, to your forever home, right? So another thing that I love about NACA is they provide you with an influx of resources, right? So the hand department, if something goes on in your property and you need contractors and stuff to come out, you want to make sure, remember, contractors, right? Contractors are here to scam you, especially when you don't know, especially when you're first starting in the real estate industry, right? Home safe department, they don't want you to foreclose on the home. If you see that you are struggling in maintaining, if you see that you are struggling financially or life happened and it affected your bread and butter, call NACA. Call NACA, let them know, and they will work with you. I don't know of any other program that has that is that understanding, but they are here for people like us. There's a common misconception that NACA is, for low income people. You can only buy in certain neighborhoods. You can buy anywhere you want, so long as you are able to afford the house. Okay. So y'all are not about to be going to buy $1 million mansions on a $30,000 salary. You see, that doesn't make sense, right? So it needs to make sense. They have a program, like I said, if you have Section 8 or if you have a family that has Section 8, they can go through NACA and become a homeowner, right? So let me share this with you. It's called the FACT program. I'll sit here and drop this here for y'all too. So I'll sit here and drop this gem for y'all so that y'all can give to a relative or what have you. This is legit, right? So NACA's even making it possible for people on, public housing assistance to purchase a home.
Wow.
Right? So this is why I tell people I grew up in New York in the projects. I know I may not look like it. I may not sound like it. I travel a lot. I spent a lot of money on my education. But one of the things that I will never forget is where I came from. Okay. I will always have my pinky toe in the projects. I will always have my pinky toe in the hood, and I will always look out for the hood because I want the hood to experience what I experienced, which is financial freedom. Thanks to this program. I got right in where I fit in. Okay. So this program is not just, you can buy, there's no limitation, single family homes, multifamilies, new construction, existing manufactured homes, modules, right? So you can buy a newly developed, a newly constructed property. I've had people in New Jersey, they've been winning the lotteries in New Jersey for $1, right? You can buy a newly constructed property. You just can't build one from the top up, right? So renovation, finance the cost of the repairs to be completed after the mortgage closing. So this is also another option. If you don't have the funds right now, right? So I didn't do this. I didn't take advantage of this. What I did was I didn't want anything to affect the cash flow of my rent. So what I just did was I paid my contractor separately from closing. Like I just paid them per task that was completed, right? So just to put an emphasis, credit score, no consideration of the credit score, payment history, everything must be on time for the past 12 months. For all of my people on here that have student loans, right? For all of my people that have student loans, if you have paid off your student loans, you're gonna have to contact the student loans department and get a letter of paid in full, like a paid in full letter stating that you don't have any student loans anymore and that you have fulfilled your financial obligation to them. NACA is going to require that. I've been out of college for 15, 17 years, right? So I was like, how am I going to call these people? She was actually able to pull it up from my credit report, and she gave it to me so that I can make the phone calls that I needed to make to get the student loan letter for this for my process, right? So like I mentioned, the debt to income ratio is what they look at. You cannot exceed 43%. You must pass all HUD inspectors. Oh, and also lastly, for NACA, right? If you want to have an owner, if you want to do what I'm doing, right? And you want to buy a fourplex or a triplex or a duplex, you can do that so long as you live in the property for 5 years. Okay. And they also take into account, to qualify you for the home, they take into account the rental income of the unit that you are occupying to qualify you for the home.
That's good. That's very good. That's very good.
Let me just answer let me see. If you already own a home, can NACA be used to purchase a second home? Okay, so if you own a home already, you would have to, if you can put that in an LLC, as long as it doesn't have your name on it, you can purchase a home, another home through NACA. It just, your name cannot have an attachment to your first one. So if you can create an LLC, do, probably do a quick claim deed into your LLC, and then you can make NACA your primary residence. There's different ways about going around that. You just have to work with a realtor that is knowledgeable in the NACA program process. So look, let me go back over here, right? So y'all see NACA counselors, NACA in-house realtors, right? Oh, they're looking for realtors, but hey, if y'all want to make this, then y'all can go ahead and make this. But yeah, so any which way that you can support NACA, getting the word out, it counts as participation, right? So don't get discouraged with, oh, but I got to do this 5 times a year. It's very easy, okay? Especially if you have social media, especially if I just show up to all these things and I'm like, hey, let me help you. I'm here to help my fellow Latinas, my fellow sisters, my fellow, POC, because no one's here looking out for us. No one is telling us these gems. So I want to see everybody win. And especially, I went into contract at 32. Yeah, I went into contract at 32. This is a full circle moment for me. This was something that was like a dream, and NACA made my dream a reality. And I know that they can do the same for y'all.
Nancy, this is some definitely great information here. And so, what we can also do, right? If you can share your contact information, and then as more members want to know more about the NACA program, we would love for them to reach out to you. And because we see the passion behind it, how grateful, how fruitful it's been to you, and not only you, to your family as well. So yeah, if you don't mind just sharing that, and then also too, right, just as we close out here, you and I discussed as well some of the other streams of income that you also have going for yourself as well. Do you kind of want to speak a little to that a little bit on some other things that you do to bring in streams of income on a monthly basis? And then we'll take one or two questions at the end, and then we'll close it out.
Yeah, that's so funny that you actually brought that up because I almost left that out, y'all. So let me make y'all laugh. When y'all go through the NACA process, okay, y'all gonna love it. It's called NACA jail. Okay, because when you start the NACA process, you are in jail. Okay, and I say jail because they track everything, everything that you spend, everything that you bring in that's coming into your account. They need to know where it's coming from. Everything that goes out, you got to tell them. But guess what? I found the loophole. I was like, oh, NACA's not going to do this to me. Like, I got to find another way. So when I first started NACA, I had opened up my online selling boutique. So I started just flipping, making, online digital sales, getting paid. NACA had no way of tracking that because I would get them put on a Visa card, like an online Visa card, right? So I was like, oh, it's lit because I have to live and NACA's trying to make me do all these things, right? But I also have to save money for these repairs. I know that my property is going to need some things that need to get fixed. So what did I do? I started high paid market research. I started teaching everyone along with I practice what I preach. I teach others how to make hundreds to $500, thousands of dollars actually per month. So when I was going through my NACA process, y'all, I'm gonna be very honest with y'all, don't judge me. I was living off of $500 a week. Yes, I was living off $500 a week
But
because
Nancy,
I was in
that
NACA.
that's because you sacrificed, and what you saw was bigger than what you currently saw, so you made that
Yes,
sacrifice.
yes. That is the sacrifice that I did for 3 years. I sacrificed, right? So I took 1 year. I took 1 year to educate myself with real estate, right? So you're not gonna know it all. But as long as you know enough to keep up with someone, that's all you need, right? The second thing that I did was the second year is I took action. So I took the webinars however many times until I felt confident enough, like, okay, I understand this program. Let's go for it. The third year was when I closed. Okay. So all because I took the steps to make sure that I can hit my timeline. I had a timeline. I had to close on a property before the ending of 2022, or else Uncle Sam was gonna get me, y'all. Uncle Sam is fixing to get me. I got him. So I got him. And so this is why I tell other people and I teach other people. So while I was sacrificing living off $500 a week, I found me another source of income. So yeah, I'm selling stuff on Poshmark. I'm selling stuff on Mercari. I discovered high paid market research. And at this point, I'm getting paid $500 for an hour of my time. Yesterday I got paid $200 for a iPhone study. How many of y'all have an iPhone? So I got paid to talk about it and to be on it. So cool, right? So $200. So I teach everyone else, how do you stay afloat with NACA? Because I'm telling you, you're going to have to find ways, creative ways to bring in income and to pay down debt without having NACA, on you 24/7. But they are. Okay. So if you're going to join the process, what I will say is stick with it. Don't give up. Always reach out to people who are already doing the program, aka me. There's Andre Haynes. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but he's the NACA king. So that's what I did in order to get started. I just, found these resources on the internet. I'm gonna drop my I'll drop my Instagram and my link tree for you guys to see. But yeah, so high paid market research was something that kept me afloat. It was something that I was making about $1,800 a month, so that I was able to like enjoy my home buying process because that's
Yeah,
tough, $500 a week. But I
yeah.
had to close for tax reasons. So whatever your reason is for wanting to get into real estate or for wanting to, you don't need a reason to want to build wealth. You don't need a reason to live a better financial life. Okay. You just have to want it. So your keys are waiting for you.
Yeah.
So get up and go get them, y'all.
Yeah. Hey, Nancy, while you dropping that in the chat, as we were speaking early in the week, we was talking about how most people wear their wealth or drive their wealth. But I like the analogy that you gave to me when you referred to the keys in itself. You mind sharing that with the community, what you shared with me?
Oh yeah. So we had a meeting and oftentimes I know you guys here in I know you guys often hear assets over liabilities, or your house is not an asset if you're living in it, or why wear a brand when you can be a brand. Let me tell you something, y'all. One thing I don't do is spend money frivolously on all these things, right? So you won't catch me wearing off-white, Gucci, Louis, Prada, but guess what? I wear my assets on my keys though. My keys cost my very, very commercial keys cost me a nice 10 stack to change my property keys, right? So I wear them on me as a reminder of the dreams that I turned. Each and every single key that I possess is each dream that I managed to fulfill.
It's good. It's good. That's good. I love that when you told me that early in the week. It was just kind of you just give you your purpose of really what you're doing as well. And say when you go up to your property, when you see contractors see you as a woman, right? This is Women's History Month, right? Just kind of expound that out a little bit as far as what you was telling me.
What was that? Sorry.
So as far as when you go up to your property and the guys, they see you as a lady, but it's like
Oh,
property.
so it's funny when I pull up to my property. Let me tell y'all something. New York City tenants are different. A lot of things are different in New York. Okay, the New York City tenants, New York City people, the land. And I say this because I make joke of it, but I have to, because the landlord laws in New York are rigorous. Like, they don't favor me at all. They favor the tenant, right? And I'm also a voucher friendly landlord. So I accept Section 8, I accept city FEPs, I accept any sort of um program, because I am here to help people. And I'm not just accepting it because it's guaranteed money. Because Section 8 in any state, yes, it's guaranteed money. Every state also has their own municipal city program. So New York, that would be called like city FEPs, or one shot deal. And so what I do as a landlord is, not only do I provide shelter, stability, and safety to my tenants, but I'm also educating them on their housing voucher, on their programs. I'm also educating them about how they're supposed to live, how they're supposed to navigate, life outside of these programs, because you're not going to be on these things forever, right? Real estate is all about customer service. How many landlords do we have here, or how many realtors do we have on here?
I see a few.
That
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can vouch. So for my realtors, y'all know real estate is all about customer service, right? I pride myself in breaking down everything to my tenants. Documentation beats conversation. When it comes to my tenants, listen, in addition to my lease agreement, all documentations pertaining to your voucher program is to be um, communicated and delivered to the landlord, so that everyone is crystal clear. Everyone is on the same page about who's paying who rent, what amount is the tenant paying the landlord, what amount is the voucher program paying the landlord, and vice versa, right? So customer service really is key. And as long the what you get give, and what you learn teach. So that's what I'm doing. I was given a huge opportunity
Yeah.
to learn everything about NACA.
Yeah.
I took
This
advantage of it.
yeah. This is so good, Nancy. And so I want to thank you and Let's Win Financial members here. We're gonna just take maybe one or two more questions if we didn't ask necessarily in the chat, maybe that you want to ask Nancy and herself, as you see that she's very passionate, well experienced in the NACA program. I'll be honest with you, Nancy. I see NACA all throughout Instagram and people going to the seminars, right? But you've been the first person that I know that really been able to take advantage of this particular program the way you have. And that's when I spoke with you earlier in the week. I was excited to bring it to the Let's Win Financial community because home ownership is the financial dream that affords us the financial freedom and the opportunities. What's most importantly is not only necessarily we get into the homes, but how do we keep it and how do we continue to pass it down to our generations as well. But before we do that, we got to actually get into the home. And this is one way that you've explained today, where we get into it, and it's not a lot of money that you have to put into it, and now you have an asset that's actually growing for you. So let's win financial members. If we're going to take maybe one or two more questions, you can ask it live here if you haven't asked it in the chat. And then we'll ask Nancy, and then if, and then after that, we'll say, hey, look, you can definitely reach out to Nancy as she's provided it into the chat here. So we do have from Shauna here. I think she mentioned it. I know Shauna has a young baby, but she said already have an FHA home. Uh, can she actually buy or use the NACA program if she already have a home FHA already?
Um, yeah, so basically what NACA says is you can't have you can buy a NACA home after you've already bought your so this is what it says online here. So that y'all can see. Let me share screen with y'all so that y'all can see. But yeah, you'll be able to do it. I think it's after like 3 or 5 years. But let me just share screen. Oops. Oops. Okay. So the question was, can a member purchase other properties after closing on their NACA home? Yes, you can. Let's see. So can a member use a house, a NACA home more than once? Yes, you can, after a period of at least 5 years,
Good
right?
information. Great information.
So can I use NACA for a second home? No, you cannot. NACA cannot be used for your second or first home. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna break something down for y'all. So for my girly who has FHA, if you can, you can get a NACA home. In addition to that, um, you just can't have primary interest in that home. So basically, we spoke about the lien, right, for NACA. Members who want to sell their homes obtained from NACA would have to email this and you start the procedures to pay for the closing costs. But yeah, you'll be able to buy a property even while buy a NACA property even while owning an FHA home. What I'm gonna say is FHA allows you to go back and forth between primary and secondary home. So I would just make FHA your secondary home and then just make NACA, when you sign up with NACA, hey, you have to give them a reason as to why, right? So right now I'm currently in the process of buying my FHA house, right? So with that being said, one of the things Shauna, I hope that I can clear up for you is the going back and forth between primary and secondary. But NACA requires that your house be primary residence, nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, Nancy, I know we've been over an hour here, and I certainly appreciate you for the information that you've brought on here. And so, I want to say for the Less Than Financial members here, Nancy have shared her IG handle here in the chat. So feel free to get more information to reach out, use the resources that you've also put in the chat as well. Man, Nancy, I'll be honest with you. I've been financially educated today on the NACA program, and so I hope the Less Win Financial community members. One thing, I think three things that stuck out with me with Nancy today. She said she made a sacrifice, then she educated herself, and the most important thing is that she executed. It only takes one risk taker in order for you to change your trajectory of your financial life, and that's something that Nancy did. She took that chance. She went to those programs. She said 3 times. But the most important thing is she was intentional about getting into it and she executed on that particular plan. Many of us want to do things, but we just observe and we don't necessarily execute. Nancy life has changed because she executed. That's the year of 2024. What we talk about, the word for Let's Win Financial 2024 is the year of pivot, right? Of making changes in your life. And so, Nancy, you're 33. You got a life well ahead of you. You got a great 9 to 5 job. You got the investment property or owner occupied property working for you, right? With the multiple streams of income. Sis, I would say this right here. I am extremely proud of you. Continue to keep doing what you're doing. Continue to keep empowering others and elevating. That's the most important piece because there's nothing more satisfying personally for me is not only doing some of the same things, but also helping other people's achieve their dream as well through this financial education information where it may seem overwhelming, but this information that you're passing it down and making it practical for other people to be able to achieve it. Because once you see someone actually doing it, then that gives you the confidence to know that, hey, look, I can do it as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I would just tell you this right here, Nancy, as we talked a little bit earlier this week. I look forward to continue the partnership with you. And the next time I'm in NYC, we'll definitely go to the New York Stock Exchange together, and I continue to
Yeah,
pick up
like
a
if you
couple of new
guys,
ideas. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. I just dropped my Instagram on here. For right now, this is I'm still working on my website. So for right now, this is the best way to get in contact with me because it's unrealistic for me to help thousands of people right now, even in my own community, to have like one-on-one with my phone number. So y'all just work with me. But
absolutely.
I'm definitely here for y'all. If y'all just shoot me a DM, hey, I can link you, with whatever resources I may have. Even if you're not going through NACA, and you're looking for, you want to go through FHA and need a lender, sharing is caring and you don't know what you don't know.
Mhm.
So I didn't know any of this stuff. I aligned myself, just like Sherwin's doing for y'all. I hopped on somebody's call and somebody saw something in me and it was go time from there. So for anyone who's serious here who wants the same thing, if you're very serious, I don't mind holding you accountable, but just know that on this land you're here to work because I'm
Mhm.
working.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah. Awesome, awesome. Well, Nancy, thank you again. Let's Win Financials. Thank you guys for joining in this morning, and hope you guys continue to have a blessed weekend. As always, let's continue to win. All right, guys, have a great one. Thanks
Bye
again.
y'all.
All right.